Live 10 at 10.
I go to concerts quite a bit, and normally here in Fargo, we're in and out. I mean, they check stuff, but it's not that long. I mean, you don't miss your show because of how long they're checking.
Many fans expected amped-up security at the Jason Aldean concert in Grand Forks, but the long lines escalated their frustrations.
Valley News Team's Krista Boehm explains the problems the Alara Center had that caused country music fans to miss part of what they paid for.
Lengthy lines formed at the Alara Center, which was to be expected prior to the Jason Aldean concert.
Right when I walked in, I asked the lady how long she had been waiting for, and she told me 35 minutes.
Valley News Live producer Renee Nygren and her friends showed up an hour before the concert, knowing they'd have to get through bag and wand checks.
Right away, we were escorted into this conference room where the lines are like zigzagged back and forth.
What they didn't know was that even after arriving early, they would still miss part of the concert, the whole first band.
I was frustrated. Everyone around me was frustrated. I mean, we had floor seats, so we spent over $100 on our tickets.
The Alara Center says it's received a number of complaints, with some fans waiting over an hour to get through security and attempted to fix the problem.
A lot of people arrive at the same time, and trying to move that many people through the limited number of entry points we have in the building is going to naturally make the lines longer. We had the Wanderers move a little bit move a little bit faster.
The promoters for the Jason Aldean concert normally require metal detectors to be used, which the facility doesn't have, but allowed metal wands to check fans one by one, a first-time use for staff at the Alara Center.
We tried to move people outside of the building to entry points that maybe the lines were a little bit shorter to get them in.
A plan Nygren and her friends tried on their own after learning there were other entrances, but still weren't able to get inside on time for the show.
A guy behind me, he was like, how is this okay? Like, we spend money to be here. How is this okay?
Krista Boehm, Valley News Live.
The Alara Center added its ordered metal detectors, which should be installed in the next couple of months. Jason Aldean performed in Bismarck following his show in Grand Forks. A spokesperson for the Bismarck Civic Center says there were no issues with security there.
The Minnesota Department of Commerce says be careful where filling up your gas tank, warning that criminals are using credit card skimmers. In fact, 3 men were arrested in the Twin Cities, and a number of people have been victims of identity theft. Experts say a skimmer could be inside any gas pump, reading your card number, even PIN number, feeding them to criminals to make fraudulent purchases.
I don't ever check for them, no. I just get gas and hope my bank will back me up.
Oftentimes, skimmers are impossible to see from outside of the machine, but experts say to check the pump to see if anything is suspicious. Use a credit card instead of a debit card, and check your bank statements regularly.
Area police are still looking for a man who ran from Fargo officers this afternoon. Now, the man ended up ditching a vehicle in Moorhead and running off on foot. Moorhead police say that the Metro Street Crime Unit has been working to find Josh Oshenko for several days now. He's wanted for possession of a controlled substance and drug paraphernalia. Police say they believe Oshenko is also connected to a home search in Castleton a couple of weeks ago and is also wanted in connection with a stolen vehicle on Friday. Investigators say the white Jeep Liberty abandoned today belongs to Oshenko, as well as a duffel bag that was dumped nearby. On the Red River side and to the west, Fargo police say they don't think Oshenko is a public threat, but like anyone on the run, they say you should use caution.
A Grand Forks man will spend the next 2 decades in prison and pay thousands in fines for his role in a drug conspiracy case. Ryan Jensen was sentenced to 20 years in prison and 5 years of supervised release. Jensen was also ordered to pay more than $17,000 in restitution for funeral expenses. U.S. Attorney Chris Myers said the fentanyl was available for purchase on the dark web. He adds this is not just a law enforcement problem, but a community problem. Several others have already been charged and sentenced in this case.
A couple of huge storylines coming out of Iowa tonight surrounding the Iowa caucuses. On the Democratic side, it's too close to call, with former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders neck and neck, and not all of the votes are counted on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, it's over, and a surprise win for Senator Ted Cruz. Donald Trump finished in second and almost finished in third. That's where Senator Marco Rubio wound up. CBS's Craig Boswell has the latest from Iowa.
CBS News reports Iowa voters are leaning toward Ted Cruz among Republicans and toward Hillary Clinton in the Democratic race for president.
I voted for Hillary because I have 5 granddaughters.
I ended up voting for Bernie Sanders.
I'm going to try Trump.
I voted for Ben Carson. I like his style.
Turnout has been very high. Some precincts are reporting crowds double and triple what they expected. The GOP says it saw record turnout. Both Republican and Democratic caucus sites ran out of registration forms. Some voters, like Corinna O'Berry, changed their party affiliation on site.
I don't hear a lot about my kids' future coming from the Republican side, so I switched to Democratic tonight to support Bernie Sanders.
Democrat Martin O'Malley announced he is suspending his campaign. Other candidates have their sights on the next contest and are already trying to win over voters in New Hampshire.
Ann was just reported after finishing a very disappointing third. Former Democratic Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley has in fact suspended his campaign.
With W-2s in hand, it's time to file your taxes or find a tax preparer who can try and get you a nice refund.
If you are expecting a refund, it may arrive a little later than usual. Valley News Team's Cornelius Hocker explains why.
The best way to get their refund, that's their refund the fastest, is to file electronically.
That's the advice both North Dakota and Minnesota are giving its income tax filers to ensure they receive their tax refund promptly. Tax filing assistance through AARP follows the recommendation.
We file our information yet tonight, so that'll be in the system by tomorrow. And then there's 7 to 10 days where they work on it, and then it transfers into their accounts or out to checks, whichever might be the case.
Raymond Wolf and his wife Jessica say filing your taxes online in this day and age just makes sense.
We went here last year and it was the same thing. It's been a good experience every time we've came, so we're going to continue to come each year.
In the battle to cut down on fraudulent returns, many tax filing services require several identifying pieces of information.
I guess there's been a lot of fraud and identity theft and stuff like that, so they want your social security card, just the actual card itself, not just a number.
And the Office of North Dakota's tax commissioner offers up this advice to not only get your tax return faster, but lower your chances of someone filing a bogus return in your name.
We always encourage people to file early, because once their return is in the door and it's in our system with their name and their social security number, then any fraudulent attempt that comes in after that automatically gets kicked out because there's already one in the system for them.
Cornelius Hawker, Valley News Live.
And here's some good advice. Look for this story on valleynewslive.com. There you're going to find tax resources specific to North Dakota and Minnesota to help you during this tax season.
Bird flu has been confirmed at a western Minnesota turkey farm. It has killed 15,000 birds on the farm since late February and 2.7 million birds worldwide in the past year. The strain of avian influenza is highly contagious, and 1 out of the 4 barns at this site tested positive for it. The farm is being quarantined, and some birds will have to be euthanized to stop the spread of the virus. This is the only farm in Minnesota confirmed with the bird flu.
The World Health Organization declared an international emergency today over the explosive spread of the mosquito-borne Zika virus, which is linked to birth defects in the Americas. The WHO convened an emergency meeting of independent experts in Geneva to assess the outbreak after noting a suspicious leak between Zika's arrival in Brazil last year and a surge in the number of babies born with abnormally small heads. The organization estimates there could be up to 4 million cases of Zika in the Americas in the next year.
North Dakota is facing a $1 billion budget shortfall. The reason? A massive dive in oil prices over the past year. State officials say there's no way anyone could have seen this coming. The state will deal with the budget shortfall 3 different ways. It will use all of the year-end balance and nearly $500 million from the Budget Stabilization Fund. Governor Dalrymple also announced this morning that state agencies' budgets will be cut by more than 4%. He says this short-term fix will keep the budget balanced as required by the North Dakota Constitution through 2017.
I think all in all, we're going to be fine. It was amazing that oil could come down that as much as it has, but we will deal with it.
Public school funding will not be affected.